Hello, my dear students. It's Dr. Yogesh Kumar Tiwari. This is my third lecture on rasa theory. I hope the previous two must have been enjoyed by all of you. You must have gathered some information on that. So, I just wanted to do a kind of an elaboration, some more information regarding the application of this particular theory. I thought it would be worthwhile if I include some more in it. So, I hope you must have read that story of Dushyant and Sakuntala. So, I will be referring that particular story. It was in the form of drama. So, the scene of Sakuntala and Dushyanta, falling in love shows how Vibhava, Anubhavas, and Vyabhichari Bhava combine to arouse the Sthai Bhava in the audience and finally producing rasa. In the previous lecture, we have come to know, it has been made clear that Vibhavas, Anubhavas, and Vyabhichari Bhavas, or the Sanchari Bhavas, transitory emotions, when they are harmoniously mixed together, they produced rasa. Okay? Thing is clear? Now, in that particular scene where Sakuntala and Dushyanta are moving, and the spectators are watching that particular scene. So, I'm talking about that. So, the audience is realizing that particular scene where both of them have fallen in love with each other. So, Bharata has explained his Rasa Sutra very clearly. The central terms Samayog and Nispatti have proved to be very, very ambiguous for the commentators. Natyasastra was in the form of commentary. Some of the persons, some of the rishis were asking questions, and Bharata Muni was giving them the responses and the answers and trying to get them satisfied. Okay? So some of the commentators were not satisfied with Bharata's clarification of rasa theory. So every commentator has his own way of interpreting it. They have got their own interpretation. Hence, the varied theories on rasa came into existence. So, there was one, Bhatta Lolat suggested the theory of Utpattivad, and Sankuka came with Anumativad. Further, Bhattanayaka and others, they had got their own respective views on this. So Bhattanayaka dealt with Bhaktivad and Abhinav Gupta with Vivaktivad. After experiencing various stages of development, rasa in the work of Vishwanath was finally established as the soul of poetry. So Vishwanath was the person who established rasa as the soul of poetry. And the dramas were written in those days in a quite poetic form. So, poetic form and the drama, or the dialogues written inside the dramas, cannot be separated. Okay? Clear? Okay. Then, at first, the doctrine of rasa was restricted to the various aspects of drama. It was restricted to drama. It was only accepted into the realm of Sanskrit poetics only after the elaboration of the theory of rasa by Ananda Vardhanam and Abhinav Gupta. These two new names you must remember. A very brief study of the major exponents of the rasa school would definitely enable all of you for the better understanding of the doctrine of rasa. Bhatta Lolat, a commentator of the 8th or 9th century, is among the earliest of Bharata's commentators. He concluded that Sthai Bhavas, which is first generated by the Vibhavas, manifested by anubhavas and further intensified by vyabhichari bhavas, finally becomes rasa. So rasa, according to him, is ingrained in the actor. It is already there. That is to say, in his form, dress, action, and thereby delighting the spectators. So there is existence of rasa beforehand. By actor, he specifically meant the hero. To explain, just to give the explanation, Lolata's interpretation of Rasa Sutra. I'm going to quote Mr. Sharma. There is a love scene in between Ram and Sita. It was the most purified and platonic love humanity has ever seen. Just listen to this description. It was Ram who had love, rati, for Sita, and as such the rasa, sringar, belonged to Ram. The spectator ascribes his rasa to the actor on account of the actor's clever acting. The spectator creates a typical kind of co-relationship with that particular actor who is performing on the stage. Okay? So thus the spectator's knowledge about Rama's love and Sita gives him pleasure. He knows beforehand that platonic aspect of love in between both of them. Okay? So the love is sthai bhava, and the very sthai bhava being brought to its full form by vibhava, that becomes ras. I unquote. Rasa creeps in the same way as in Kalidasa's Sakuntala. The hero Dushyant falls in love with Sakuntala, and the dramatist describes this particular scene using appropriate words. The spectators ascribe to the actor again. Again here the spectator knows quite well beforehand. So many attributes are there which have been transferred from the spectators to the actors who is just performing on the stage. So the audience is quite aware of this fact. Further, this particular ascription to the actor on account of the actor's clever acting, the spectator develops the same mental attitude that belonged to Dushyant. And the spectator's apprehension for the imputed love in the actor brings to him delight. So, a feeling of love is imputed by the spectators to the actors. And that is how rasa is created or relished. There was another great commentator. His name was Bhattanayaka of the 19th century AD. He refused all the theories of rasa. He had his own explanations as far as the rasa theory is concerned. Just he pointed out that a work of art has three functions, namely abhidha, bhavakatva, and bhojakatva. Just remember these three new terms. Mr. Sharma says, I'm quoting him, these things present the meaning of poetry in the form of a description of vivaha, vibhava. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confusing about the Sanskrit pronunciation. Don't mind. So Bhavakat is supposed to have derived from Bharata's definition of bhava. It is the power that generalizes vibhavas, sthai bhavas, etc. See how closely these things are gripped together. Though some of the commentators had raised questions against all the previous theories, but there was some kind of similarities, or I mean, likeliness. They were, on some extent, accepted that vibhavas, anubhavas, and vyabhichari bhavas, when combined together, they create rasa. Okay? So here the specific properties of vibhava, etc., are not sensed. It is then general character that is experienced. It is through this process of generalization, that is called sadharanikaran, that Rama in drama does not appear as a lover and Sita as the beloved of Ram, but they appear as a common lovers with their common pursuits of love, because that particular person who are acting on the stage are quite familiar with the spectators, and the Rama's real virtues and real platonic inclination towards love, it is also known to the spectators. So there is a certain kind of relationship being maintained here. Please remember this. This takes the spectators away from his thought of mundane preoccupations. Further, these elements of sattva into the predominance by throwing the rajas and tamas into the background, because the attributes are there when the drama is to be staged and the actors are preparing themselves. Without attributes, you can't expect the drama to be staged upon. Okay? Further, the preponderance of the sattva elements produces illumination and a state of perfect rest of the self within itself. So sattvic bhava, it is definite that they are going to create illumination in the minds of the spectators. The actor himself is illumined beforehand because he is having sattvic bhavas. So that state is characterized by the absence of all the conscious, physical, psychological, and volitional activities, and so by freedom from all kind of attachments and aversion from all that can enter into the consciousness. It is very important. It was Abhinav Gupta who explained the words nispatti used by Bharata in his Rasa Sutra as Abhivyakti. His theory of rasa is known as Abhivyaktivad. Abhivyakti means pratiti or perception of rasa through the power of suggestion, whose ultimate result is an extraordinary state of realization. Mind you, this state of realization is divine bliss that is nowhere near a general experience of pleasure or pain. At this moment, we are so completely lost in it. All pain is forgotten. If there is any pain, it is a pleasurable pain. So Abhinav Gupta has pointed out 7 obstacles also. Vignas during rasa realization. And they are, I'm just reading it out. The spectator's incapacity for rasa realization, the lack of proper aesthetic or psychic distance between the dramatic situation and the spectator. The third one is spectator's overabsorption in his own personal likes and dislikes. The lack of proper means of apprehension, the absence of clarity, the sthai bhava being given secondary importance in a play, then the creation of doubt or uncertainty as to the exact nature of the sthai bhavas. So this shows Abhinav Gupta's deep insight into these dramatic aspects which lead to the ultimate realization of rasas. The concept of rasa has has been refined by these critics. But the doctrine of rasa, as already stated, was first given by Bharata. After defining the theory of Rasa Sutra, we get the classifications of rasa into the 8 types. We have earlier discussed about the 8 types, and I don't think it is should be repeated. But again, for the sake of your recapitulation, I am naming them again. These sentiments are Sringar, love again, Hasya, humor, then Karuna, pathos, Raudra, wrath, then Veer, heroism, then Bhayanaka, terror, then Vibhats, disgust, and then Adbhut, wonder. So these 8 sentiments are the subdivisions of 4 major sentiments. It is also discussed beforehand. The comic sentiments arises from the erotic, the pathetic from the furious, and the marvelous from the heroic, and the terrible from the odious. So these 4 major rasas seem to have been arising in the mind under the impact of external objects, and these 4 types of feelings are a little bit Sanskrit terms, but very simple. That is, first one is vikasa, ardent desire, leading to the arousal of Sringar rasa. Then vistar, amplitude, leading to the arousal of Veer rasa. Then kshobh, adulation, agitation, leading to the arousal of Raudra rasa. Then vikshafa, that is distraction, leading to the arousal of vibhats, that is vibhats rasa. So Bharat has also pointed out 8 colors, corresponding colors, okay, symbolizing these 8 sentiments. The erotic sentiment is green, having the green, the comic having the white, Sweta, the pathetic sentiment gray, that is the furious sentiment red, the heroic sentiment yellowish, then the terrible sentiment black, and the odious sentiments blue, marvelous, having yellow at the end. And Bharata has attributed these 8 rasa to 8 deities also. So Vishnu is the god of erotic, then Pramathas of comic, then Rudra of furious, Yama of the pathetic, then Mahakal, Shiva, lordship of the odious, then a Kal of terrible, Indra of the heroic, and the Brahma of the marvelous sentiments. Bharata has also discussed various factors that enunciate rasa realization. In my next lecture, I would like to add something more on doctrine of rasa, how it was utilized by Kalidasa in his works, and from where Sakuntala is the best example. So we shall be discussing about further elaborated application of rasa theory on the dramatic piece, particularly particular work produced by Kalidasa, and we shall be discussing a little bit extensively about the types of rasa, having some more information. I hope this particular lecture will be of fruitful consideration for all of you. Please listen to it again and again. Thank you.